Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Anna, aka Down to Earth Girl. So it's been so long since I've filmed a video just because things have been insane. We're in a little bit of a sleep regression and we are also in a breastfeeding nursing strike, which is what I wanted to talk about today. So I wanted to give some tips and tricks for if your baby is going through a nursing strike. I have just a little bit of advice that I've gotten from lactation consultants over the past few weeks because Arthur has been on a nursing strike since week 12. He is now almost 4 months, so he's about 18 weeks old. And he just decided to stop nursing one day, and I was a little bit shocked and sad and put off and depressed and kind of all the emotions that go through that. So I wanted to talk about that, and at the very end of the video then I will share sort of tips for success, perhaps to get your baby to feed again, and just my journey along the way. So I kind of noticed that Arthur was stopping to nurse around 12 weeks, and it was actually not one day. I think the first day he was kind of fussy at the breast. I just sort of said, oh, let's just give him a bottle and see if that, see if he can take the bottle. But then he kept refusing to nurse a few days after that, and that's when I really realized that something was going wrong. So I went to a lactation consultant and they basically told me that they thought that his tongue tie had reattached, so he was going to have to go in for the third time and get a tongue revision. We didn't end up doing that because I kind of felt that we've already done it twice and I didn't think that that was the problem, and I was able to get a second opinion from our pediatrician, who also said that it was not the tongue tie that was causing him from nursing. So a lot of times at the 3-month mark, babies have a huge leap in development, so they're very distracted by the outside world, and also problems that happen early on in breastfeeding sort of manifest themselves at the 3-month mark, whether it be a lazy latch or a lazy suck. And so sometimes those problems early on that aren't dominant can really resurface at the 3-month mark at about 12 weeks. Arthur actually is still nursing at nighttime. He is sidelined, so his first feeding of the night, I usually scoop him up from his crib, bring him into the bed, and he nurses at night. It's a lot easier for babies to latch on at night because they don't really realize, one, that it is a little bit more difficult than being at the bottle, or two, they're kind of tired, they just don't really care. Consciously, they don't really care that they're at the breast because they're half asleep. A few things that I would do to get Arthur to be at peace at the breast, and that's what you want to do, is you want to create a really positive environment. So the first thing to keep in mind is you want to keep a very, very positive environment around the breast. So even if he's not nursing, even if your baby is not nursing, you have a bottle on standby, you want to create sort of a serene, peaceful environment. So what I would do is I would actually give him the bottle being completely naked from waist up and just do skin to skin time. So we would do skin to skin, and then he would start to root down, and then once he found the breast, he would actually get really fussy and aggravated and mad. So right away I would just soothe him again and give him the bottle so that he didn't associate that with being upset or being frustrated. So it's one thing that you can try to do is start to give your baby the bottle while you're doing skin to skin, so you still have that physical touch and that attachment, and you are having just a good bonding moment even though your baby is taking a bottle. The second thing that I would do is before night feedings, because that is the time that he usually goes to bed right after a bottle, is I would only prepare about 2 ounces and have that ready, and I would give him about 2 ounces of a bottle and then immediately take that off and then offer him the breast. And normally he will latch on and he will actually breastfeed right before bedtime. So that's another strategy, is just starting with about 1 or 2 ounces in a bottle and then trying to introduce the breast right after he has about 1 or 2 ounces, because your baby's always going to want to eat a little bit more at night. I often had success with that because he was hungry enough and drowsy enough and tired enough and not too awake to really realized that he was frustrated about getting milk from the breast. Another thing that was recommended to me to get baby back to the breast was to try nursing in the bathtub. And this is, again, sort of starting with that skin-to-skin physical connection, physical touch. They're in a very peaceful, tranquil environment, and then scooping them up and trying to nurse in the bathtub. Another thing that you can do is start pumping right before you want to try to get your baby to breastfeed. So you just pump to initiate a letdown, and then you put your baby on the breast about 1 or 2 minutes after you started pumping, and that way they don't have to work as hard and they're breastfeeding, but some of the milk has already started flowing without them having to suck very hard. Right now, he is not nursing during the day. I am pumping every 3 hours, and he's taking his bottles about every 3 hours as well. And I am trying to keep my production up by just keeping a good pumping schedule and trying to eat really healthy and drink a lot of fluid. So I just knew that when I went back to work that I would need to be pumping anyway, and that he would be having bottles. So luckily he's still at the breast a little bit in a 24-hour period. There are a lot of things that you can do to try to get the baby to re-latch. And because I'm going back to work, I'm probably not going to be as aggressive in some of those methods, such as starve to suck, because I do need to go back to work and he will be needing to take a bottle. But those are other methods that some women use to get their baby to start breastfeeding again. There's a few Facebook groups you can join. One is exclusively Pumping Mamas, another is Back to Breast, and they have a lot of good resources and comments and tips. Again, everything you kind of have to take with a grain of salt, because obviously something that works for one mother isn't going to work for another mother. So because Arthur's been on this strike, I've kind of gone through a whole wave of emotions. I've been really sad. I've been really depressed that he's kind of, you know, rejecting me in a way. But we do have some really great bonding time with the bottle, and I've started to, instead of doing paste feeding, I've just started to hold him as if I was nursing him and then giving him the bottle just above my my breast, so that he can sort of like nestle in and kind of use it as a pillow, and he makes eye contact with me, and that's really special. Another thing is, when you're pumping a lot, try to have some videos or some pictures of your baby you can look at, because it'll trigger your brain. It'll sort of release those happy endorphins and help you produce more milk. Luckily, he can nurse at nighttime, and I still try to put him at the breast each time I give him a bottle throughout the day. But again, if he starts to get mad or fussy and he doesn't latch on, then I offer him a bottle right away, just because I don't want him to get mad and associate breastfeeding with this sort of frustration and fear that he has. So I'd love to know if you guys are going through anything like this, if you have any tips or tricks. Again, I am really open to suggestions and advice. I visited a few different lactation consultants, and they sort of all told me that it's my choice whether I want to try to implement some more aggressive strategies, or if I just want to continue bottle feeding and nursing at nighttime. Another thing that you can do is dim the lights, get blackout curtains, put on some nice music, and create a very tranquil environment free from distractions, so that your baby is more prone to latch on without there being a lot of chaos from the outside world. Have the bottle ready so that you can offer the bottle as soon as they become frustrated or mad at the breast. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed listening to some suggestions about how to overcome or get through a nursing strike. If you have any tips or tricks that you've tried in the past or you are currently trying, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to read them and hear your story. Again, for me, it was really early to stop breastfeeding altogether, but I'm still really holding on to those nighttime feedings and that before bed feeding. And hopefully, in the end, it's just whatever is really less stress for you and for your baby. For me, it's way less stressful to just pump and offer him a bottle than to have him scream and cry at the breast. So I think that's the route that I took personally. Again, A lot of these suggestions were given to me from lactation consultants that I worked with over the past few weeks. If you have any other information that you'd like to share, please do so in the comments below. Thanks so much. Bye.